Well, I just made the sweetest video ever and forgot to turn the audio on the camera. So I guess I'm gonna redo it. Except now it just feels like it's all staged. I'm sure it won't be nearly as good now. So anyway, we're back at the table. I hope this doesn't turn into like the thing with this channel is sitting at this junky plastic table. But we're back at the table. So the other day, turn this volume off the phone. So I was clearing some brush the other day with my Stihl 170 and was having some problems. It wouldn't start. It was I could get it to start up, but it was just barely run. And anytime you'd hit the trigger, give it the gas, go, it literally just, it would cause it to die off. And it just got worse. It didn't heat up. I tried everything, choking it. I pulled the air off, cleaned the air filter. I even swapped out a carburetor on it, or not a carburetor. I swapped out a spark plug, and it still wouldn't run. And so I'm not a mechanic. I'm not a small engine guy. I guess would have been a great time to tear into the motor, but I was kind of in a hurry. I've got a lot of brush coming up. I want to get cleared out, and stuff's growing fast right now, so I was on a kind of a time crunch. So I went over and bought another one. I got the 180, which is basically the same as the 170. It's almost the same saw. It may be actually the same saw. It's got a little bit more horsepower. I don't remember the CCs, but I think they're both in the 30s. This one, the 170, is in the low 30s, and this one maybe in the high 30s. But they're great little saws. You got that 16-inch bar on them. You can really maneuver easy. If you don't cut all the time, your back's not used to it, you can cut with these for quite a while, and they don't wear you down. So I really like the saws. I actually like having two saws a little bit more than one, just because, you know, it's always great to have more than one, but that way if you get bound up or something like that, or a tree falls over, just can't get into it, you can always get your other saw in there and kind of relieve that cut a little bit or something like that. So I wasn't mad at having to get two, but it's definitely kind of a bummer having to, thinking you've ruined a saw or it's worn out. But anyway, when I got this new saw, the gentleman told me to, actually the gentleman tried to talk me out of buying another saw, told me to go home and try something out to fix on this one. But I was already there. I was in the mindset. I already set my mind I was going to get another saw, so I told him I'd go ahead and get the saw and then try out what he suggested. But anyway, what he suggested was to take this saw, and on this front muffler right here, there's two nuts, and then there's a little exhaust panel that blows exhaust out this way, away from, so it's not blowing up into your face or anything like that. So it blows it out this way. But he told me to take those two nuts off, slide it off, and then there's a screen, a little metal screen in there. And it's like I think the term is called a spark inhibitor, spark arrestor screen or something like that. Basically, if there was to be a spark coming out of your hot gas, and maybe a piece of dust or something that got hot enough it lit or sparked up, it would arrest or grab those sparks before it blew that hot air out onto the ground. And I guess if you're in very arid climates where stuff catches lights easy, it could possibly start a fire. So that's the intent of the screen. But especially these two cycles, they blow little. You are blowing some of that oil, unburnt oil and stuff out. Especially if you mix it rich. If your oil mixture is a little bit on the rich side, it's going to definitely smoke a little bit, and that smoke will blow a lot in there. So he said they get clogged up in there, and then once they get completely clogged with carbon and unburnt oil, it shuts the motor down because it's got nowhere to. It doesn't have an exhaust. It's kind of like a Jake brake or an engine brake, I guess, kind of on a bigger motor, commercial type diesel engine. So since I've already torn into this one, taken it apart, cleaned it, did all that stuff while I was jaw jacking with you guys and put it back together, I'm curious. I've ran about 4 tanks of gas through this new one, and I'm curious to see how dirty it is already. You can see now that the front little exhaust right here is already black. So I'm going to tear into this dude real fast and see what it looks like while we're here. The other one was pretty dirty, so I'm going to go ahead and put my gloves on so I can keep my hands nice and clean and pretty. It's a 5/16 I think is what I used. Yep, 5/16 on the other one. Let's see if it works again on this one. Got a little bit of a so these nuts actually run, they hold this bolt that runs all the way back through this carburetor, or this muffler. You don't necessarily need to take the whole muffler off. You can just take this front plate off right here. I'll see if I can walk over here and show you guys this a little bit better so you can see it. I'm sure when I do, I'm going to mess it all up, but get around here. Probably going to take my glove off so I don't drop this. So as you can see, there's two bolts right there. You loosen those up, and then this outer portion, you take this off, and then there's a screen right there. That screen will actually come out, and you can see through it right there. Well, the other one, that when I had taken it out, it was completely clogged. You couldn't even see through around the edges. It was all the way clogged up. So I guess this is how it should look like, but after a while it's going to get clogged back up. So I'm not sure how many tanks of gas go through there. I'm sure a lot of that has to do with how rich you run your oil and the quality and all that good stuff. But that's where it looks like. So now we're just gonna, that looks really clean, so I'm just gonna put these two bolts back on here, tighten those back down, and then we'll be ready to head to the woods. So there you go. If you've if your saw is just won't run at all, dying when you're hitting the gas to give it more, and it just makes it die faster, and you've swapped out spark plugs and you've swapped out and cleaned your air filter, give this a shot. Pull those little two bolts off of there, nuts off, and clean that. I am sure there is, I don't know it off the top of my head, and I can look it up and probably drop it in the description below if I was really cool. There's probably a part number where you can just order new screens if you don't want to mess with cleaning them. But if you've got some carburetor cleaner, gas will probably work, WD-40, something like that. Soak it in it and scrub it out, brush it out with and then blow it out with an air hose. Or if one of you guys want to try the torch method, and if that works really good, let me know. I'm curious to hear if that actually works or not too. So there you have it. Another way to keep your saw running. Not like I'm a professional saw guy. If I knew that, I wouldn't have had to have somebody else tell me. Anyway, thanks for stopping by, guys. And I'm gonna go start cutting some brush. Y'all have a good afternoon.